Howdy doody. It's Friday.
It's Friday.
Come on in.
Hello.
Are you guys doing your Instagram live?
Yeah, but
Yes,
Luke's here. He can help you.
Oh no, I already know what I need.
Thank
you.
Welcome.
Sweet. Hello, I'm
Hello.
Hannah.
I'm Courtney.
No one's on with us, so it's like
Hello.
you're.
I'm talking to.
Thought we had one guest. Here we go. Okay, now
Okay.
for real, you
Now for
girls,
real.
get it together. Come on, it's Friday. What? April
19th.
Tonight.
April 19th.
420 Eve. Today we're talking about buffing wax.
Right to the meat of the show here.
Yeah. Right
Cut
to
to
the-
the chase.
Cut to the chase.
to the chase. We've had a lot of questions on Facebook regarding how to buff wax to get it maybe a little bit shinier, have it be less of a flat appearance.
You guys are like really good friends, aren't you?
Yeah.
You need to sit closer
Can
then.
you sit closer? Are we
Yeah,
too far
squish
away?
together.
We can share the same chair.
You're so tiny. Okay, so hold on a second. Hi, I'm Trish. You're at the Purple Painted Lady, and these two are part of our amazing, fantastic team. I'm going to flip it over. Okay. And we got Courtney on the left,
Hello.
who I did a post on. And we yesterday you had the red bandana in your hair while you were unloading a truck of paint, showing off your muscles.
Heck yeah.
I'd like to, and I took that picture, I'll post it afterwards, and I refer to you as Rosie the Riveter. Give me a little quick, yeah, oh my gosh, do that again!
It looked bigger.
Do that again! Look at that muscle! You're crazy, girl. Don't mess with Courtney. And then this is Hannah.
Hello. I'm not strong.
Hannah's the proper of the two.
So anyways, but if anybody's calling, sending messages through Gmail, Brittany helps a lot with that, but CRMs, Facebook posts, you guys are often sort of the, what's that, like first line, I wouldn't say of defense, but you really are the first line that people typically, I mean, instead of getting someone at a different level, they're going right to people who have the content.
Yeah.
And you guys do the videos, you help us with the posts. So really quick, Courtney, I think you were saying you've been receiving...
Yeah, we've been receiving a lot of messages and questions, both on Facebook, Instagram, and through our customer relations system, that people want to know how they can buff the wax to get it to be a bit shinier. So Annie's chalk paint wax is typically a flat to satin finish, but you can buff it to get it a little bit of a higher sheen. We do want to note that you won't be able to get it super high gloss, just because it doesn't really have the ability to get there, I don't believe.
Well, I think, and we also should mention, we almost should have the white, the black, and the dark, really. But personally, the clear wax, I think clear wax, you absolutely have the ability to get a very super modern, shiny surface. I don't feel that's the case with the other tinted waxes.
Right.
By default, I think you can get sort of a satin finish.
Yeah.
But I personally, this is Trish speaking behind the camera, I don't feel that that's going to give you a high sheen. But clear wax, I think, absolutely can give you a very modern look.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay,
So,
but-
we've also, along with that question, people have asked what is best to buff with, whether it be Scott shop towels or cheesecloth or a buffing brush, a microfiber rag. They're kind of all over the place and asking what is the best tool to use to buff. So we thought,
And the answer is yes.
the answer is yes.
All of
Yes, all of those.
We like to think that they can use what they already have in-house, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yes, we love to sell some of these tools, and you have them, and
Yeah.
you'll showcase them.
Absolutely.
But really, it kind of comes down, I think, often to use what you own, right?
Yeah,
Welcome.
absolutely. So we're gonna show you guys how to buff with cheesecloth, Scott shop towels. We're actually gonna showcase some of our white, the buffing brush that we also carry in shop as another tool that you can use. Yeah. So
Do we have one of those little spacer boards in case we
do,
want to?
yes.
Okay, you're great. Okay, so go right ahead.
okay.
I may change the orientation of this.
So this cabinet, this is an old cabinet that we've had in the shop for a while. I re-waxed it yesterday, so the wax has been sitting for about 24 hours.
What is on the cabinet, though? Let's just talk about that.
Sure, so that is the chalk paint by Annie Sloan. The underneath color that you're kind of seeing coming through is primer red.
Right.
And then over top we painted old ochre.
Yes.
And we just
okay.
came back with some sandpaper and roughed it up.
Just lightly distressed it.
So this has already been clear waxed. It's been in our shop for a while. So it, by itself, I mean, it's very smooth. It's been handled a good bit, so it has a little bit of a sheen to it. But by buffing it, it'll be just a more noticeable sheen.
And what that does, that's interesting you brought that up. So as people handle a wax finish more often, that'll actually contribute, won't it?
The more traffic it gets, so it's kind of the same concept. Applying pressure just by grabbing it can even create a sheen as well.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So we can go in, if you want to grab the buffing brush, we can do that. So
One of you
we'll do
guys might hold the
buffing
table.
Brush. I know, might need to hold the table. I'm thinking we'll do the buffing brush on one side, and then we'll do
Yeah,
some of
and
the
you know,
rags
sheen
on
is
the
probably
other.
going to be kind of difficult to pick up on
Yeah.
via a video, but at least you're demonstrating really some of the options. Now that's a big buffing brush. At one point, I think they came a little smaller.
Yes.
And that's been discontinued. Can you actually hold that up and just with your other hand sort of show the bristles? Like,
I'll hold the door.
so
It's a lot like a horse brush. That's what it
is
reminds
a
me
horse
of.
brush? I've never felt a horse brush. I don't have horses, but
Yeah.
does a horse brush actually feel this soft?
It's probably a little bit coarser.
Okay, because we don't want someone scratching something. It reminds me of a shoe polish brush.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. That's
And this is the only buffing brush we carry.
Yes.
I think this is about 7 inches long.
yeah.
This whole paddle, and then it has the strap. And I guess, you know, you can use what you own. The strap is nice if you're doing a big table because it won't fly off
Absolutely.
or you won't let go of it. But
Absolutely.
okay, so after we're done with these different methods, I'm just curious to know which ones you guys prefer. So really, when we're buffing, all we're doing is creating, I guess, a little bit of friction on the wax.
Yeah.
And now, what about when do you do this?
So
Hypothetically.
yeah. So if you have something in your house that's been waxed for a while and now you're looking at it and thinking you might want to go ahead and buff it, go right in and buff it. If you just painted something, just waxed something, we typically recommend letting the wax settle for at least 24 to 48 hours just to give it time to completely soak in. So that you have the best chance of buffing it without removing more of the wax.
So just in case someone's really new, like super green, and they're watching this video,
Yeah.
when you wax, when you said let it set a while, what do you mean by that? You mean so that way they...
Yes. So waxing is a lot like waxing a car. You're going to wipe it on in circular motions and you're going to wipe it off immediately in the direction that you painted. So for instance, on this cabinet, for this little side right here, we would have rubbed it on in circular motions and immediately wiped it off until the back of the hand would glide smoothly across the surface.
Okay, so you're not putting the wax on and letting it harden.
No, you're not
okay,
putting the wax
so
on.
good. Just to throw that out there. So let's say somebody waxed this piece. When would you think would be a good time then to come back and buff it?
About 24 hours later.
That's what Annie
12
has
to
always
24.
recommended,
Yeah.
at least for the last 10 years of our training.
Yes.
If something's changed, well, I guess we'll find out. But
We will.
and the reason I know that the reason Annie typically recommended waiting was because if you come back and you buff too soon, you could be lifting some of your wax off.
And especially if you're using a tinted wax, that would often happen as you're
Okay.
going to remove it. So there's
So
what you can actually
yeah,
see.
I
don't know if you
can
can pick it
already
up on the
tell
camera.
from my angle. I can definitely tell the line right there.
I
from
can
where-
too, but I don't think this camera's going to really.
No.
I can see a light reflection.
Yeah.
Do that again. Keep going with the front down. Yeah, now you can really see the light bouncing off of
Awesome.
it.
Yeah.
That's a good view. So Kathy Lewis Humphrey asked, do we sell the buffing brushes?
We do.
We do. The large ones have been discontinued. So the size
Oh, no.
of this large
Small.
Is,
It's
we have
small.
the small. That we, yeah.
That's the only one we carry.
The large was
The large was discontinued. The small is what we have now.
Oh, which actually is a good thing.
Yeah, I
prefer
think it's a
the
lot
small.
better. The small is maybe about
For my
3/4 the
baby
size.
hands.
Yeah, so we're just using what we already have open.
Yes.
They don't sell the big one anymore.
Right.
But it's so big, it's actually better that the small one.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you
Small, I
said
agree.
that.
I agree.
And those are on our website, and those are in all our shopping stores, right? We have 4 locations located.
And well, here in Masson, which is the mothership. Then we're also in Rochester and Village Gate, Grease shops on West Ridge, and then Baldwinsville.
Yeah, okay, awesome. So that's one method of buffing. So let's just see here. Shy asked, does Annie Sloan dark and black wax take more time to cure? It's an interesting question.
I think it all depends on how much you apply. So some people like a very heavy, dark or black wax effect. Some people like it very minimal. So if you're only doing a small layer, a thin layer, it would take less time. If you're applying it very heavily to get a more aged look, then it would take a little bit longer to cure. Right.
So Shy, you might want to expand a little bit on if you're having an issue. And in the sense of how much you applied, and also humidity and where they're located by guys would also come into play, right?
Definitely.
Okay.
So now we're going to show another option, unless we have more questions.
No questions, but one of our top fans, Kimberly Castello, says she has that small buffing brush, and it works really easy on her hand, and she loves the strap. So people who are tuning in, we should have them give us a heart, a like, or something, a thumbs up, right?
Shoot us a thumbs up if you're liking it. If you really like it and you think you have other people that want to see it, you can share our video.
Oh, there you go.
If
Okay.
you feel so inclined.
Okay, so you've already discussed the buffing brush,
which was used on this side of the cabinet.
Okay, what else? What are we gonna do now?
So we're just going to show a few different options of what you might already have at home if you don't own a buffing brush and you want to start buffing before you're able to get a buffing brush. We carry shop towels, and we actually just recently got white shop towels, which are really nice for removing your wax over a lighter colored paint or buffing your wax.
What's the difference between that and, let's say, a Bounty piece of paper towel?
It's a lot more heavy duty, so a paper towel would just tear right there a lot more easily than that.
But they are very heavy. They're very thick and they're very absorbent, and they're lint free. That's one of probably the biggest features of it is that they're lint free. So you have that. Can you pull the blue one over too?
Yes.
So you have the blue Scott shop towels, and we carry the white. Honestly, we have them online and we have them at our store at a lower price for convenience. But if somebody is watching this from out of town and they order from us, they could probably take a ride to maybe an auto parts store or maybe a big Walmart. And you can always grab the roll there. They may be just a little bit more expensive, minimal, but if it's more convenient for you, feel free. But these are great for also wax removal.
Yes.
And we like the white ones for going, taking wax off of like old white, pure, old ochre. Yeah, a lot of the lighter colors. Okay, I'm sorry. So you were going to say...
Yes, so you can use these to buff your wax as well. What I would recommend, instead of just taking your rag and going right over with your hand and buffing it, that might create a little bit of, we call them like ghost lines, where you can see even fingerprints or the outline of your finger. So what we like to do is take like a little wood block, or take a sanding block.
We use those to elevate our furniture when we paint them off the ground, so that way you can get right to the bottom of the foot. Okay, so just like a little spacer or something. It could be even like a little book.
Anything that's going to comfortably fit in your hand, just wrap the towel around, and that's going to create a nice even surface for you to buff with. So then I would take it just like the buffing brush and just same process.
So basically it's just creating a little bit of friction and a little bit of pressure.
And I'm not applying too much pressure at all. Probably like you would put lotion on your hands, just a very small amount of pressure. The more you rub it, the higher the sheen will get. Go in here a little bit. Now this is one reason that I do like a buffing brush. Just getting in these edges is kind of like a stark movement versus having the flexible bristles.
Oh, that's a good point, because those bristles, that's good. Bring it back there, Courtney, back up towards you, because you can actually see how the bristles, they're like the Lysol foaming bubbles. It kind of gets every little edge. But like in general, like when you're doing a dresser top or something.
Definitely.
So, in some cases, if you're really trying to watch your pennies, and you're managing a budget, and you may not be ready to invest in a buffing brush, that wrapping something and using those shop towels is a total viable option, keeping in mind you might not be able to get right into those edges. Okay, and those shop towels are very inexpensive. So okay, so that's a couple options. Do we have anything else?
So this dresser behind us is something that we painted and waxed years ago. Here in the shop, we do a lot of merchandising, so things have been set up here. Customers come by and kind of check out what's going on, and so it's gotten a little dusty over the years. So we're going to show you first how the clear wax, applying another coat down the road, how that can act kind of like an eraser, or you can even clean your dresser with that.
This is good because Sarah Waits asked a message. She said, can I add a third layer of wax on my cabinets a couple weeks later?
Definitely.
So that's great because this is basically like adding more, except this will even show, and I'm going to just kind of get in here, and you're totally fine. Can you point out right over here? You can see this dresser is actually near the front of our store. We leave the door open all the time, and so we're on a very busy road. We're on a state road, and you can even probably hear some of the tractor trailers going by. So it gets dirty, and it also gets from sliding merchandise across, you can tell, which is why now Hannah's going to come back and apply wax, and it's even more important that she's pulling wax off a paper plate because she's going to be re-waxing this, and it's going to be cleaning it at the same time, and you're not going to want to put that...
Get any dirt in your can of wax.
Yeah, put that wax brush back into a pristine can of wax after going over this, because it does, it's embarrassing, but when you open the doors at the road, a lot of dirt just comes in. So, Court, while she does this, that mirror, I'm a little worried if we move the dresser with the rubbing, I don't want the mirror to slide forward. Can you hold that a bit? And that was one of those mirrors we did with the IOD.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Hannah. Go right ahead.
So I'm using Annie Sloan's small wax brush. This is my go-to brush. It has a rounded edge, so it is really nice for getting into details or really accelerating the waxing process. I find that it really makes it much easier.
Can you show me the head of the brush? I just want to showcase.
Yes.
So that's how much wax you have on it. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I like to do very thin layers. I find it's easier to build it up instead of having a really thick coat and then having to wipe back all that excess wax.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
And then to remove my wax, I'm going to be using cheesecloth.
Which we have.
We do. It comes in a really huge roll, which will last you 10, 15 projects.
Unless you're doing your kitchen cabinets.
Yeah.
And we do love those when you're removing wax on kitchen cabinets. We really do.
It's almost textured, so it's really great for gripping the wax and removing it. So I'm just going to take my wax brush and brush all in different directions, really work the wax into this. It is pretty dingy, so just really working at
we
cleaning
could have probably even washed it a little before we did this.
True.
But that's okay.
Yep. Okay, so even just from applying the wax, I find there's a little bit cleaner of an area. It might not translate in the video.
It is.
So then I'm going to take my cheesecloth and just wipe back that excess.
You can tell significantly with the video how it's picking up where you put that fresh coat of wax.
Yeah, definitely.
So as you're doing that, I just want to mention Sarah, who said she feels, should she do a third layer wax on her cabinets? Her wood seems dry, but I haven't budged, she said. So I'm not quite sure what she means, but I don't know what she means by her wood seems dry. I don't know if that means moisture or if the wax.
Maybe like the paint still feels a little chalky. Maybe it's not full.
But she's already done 2 coats of wax. So I'll tell you what, Sarah, why don't you expand on your comment?
And feel free to post a picture in the comments as well of your cabinets.
Okay, great. So when you're doing that, tell me what it feels like, because do you get resistance until...
Yeah, so when I'm first going in and wiping back my excess wax, I can definitely feel the wax grabbing onto the cloth. But then by the time I've removed enough wax, and this is how I know I've removed enough, I'm really just easily gliding, and I can even take the back of my hand and just glide with no issues, no resistance at all.
Okay. So you just put that on. Obviously, we need to do the whole thing. We don't need to video all that, but just by rubbing it with the cheesecloth, you're basically creating a sheen.
Yeah. And then, so something that's been previously waxed, and it's in the future, and you're applying another coat like this just to freshen it up a little bit, you really don't have to wait the 24 hours to go back and buff, since you do already have that original layer of wax. So from here, I'm going to take my shop towel that we have wrapped around that wood block, and I'm just going to go back again with light pressure and just go back and forth.
You know what's interesting? You can actually, in the picture of the camera, you can start to see the sheen on that.
Good. Yay.
I don't know if you guys, if you can see it, give us a thumbs up. Let us know. I, from my perspective, it looks like you're getting enough light bouncing off of that. So.
Yeah, and to me that's a pretty good sheen. I like to kind of tilt my head and catch the light and see where I'm at. And to me that's kind of exactly how I would leave it.
It's cool.
I like it.
Okay. So Becky asks, at what point can I apply black wax for antiquing? Brand new piece I'm working on, applying clear wax today.
Okay, so when you're applying the clear wax, after you're done applying the clear wax, removing it, and it's all set, you can go immediately in with the black wax.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait.
I prefer to do it sooner rather than later while your clear wax is still a little bit fresh.
It's a lot easier to manipulate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems to be very popular.
Definitely.
When doing the initial waxing, Kelly Hodge, I want to make sure, Drakert, do you use sand and distress before waxing or after? And the answer to that
it can vary. So if you know how much distressing you want to do, you've done this before, I distress before I wax just because I usually go with the flow. So how much I take off, I take off. But if you're unsure about how much you want to take off, you want to have a little bit more control over it, you can definitely wax first and then go back in with some sandpaper and distress a little bit. And that will give you a little bit more control over it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, a big advantage of waiting until after you've waxed to sand is you don't create as much dust. If you're going right over the paint and you pick up all that dust and then you have all that chalky dust on the ground, you definitely don't want to mop your floors because it is a water-based paint. You're actually going to create another paint and paint.
It's like creating a wash. You reconstitute
definitely. So that would be an advantage of distressing after.
Okay, here's a question from Catherine and Catherine Boyington.
Okay.
Boyington. Would you clear wax over a dark waxed piece to clean it?
No. So just like the clear wax act like an eraser on the stains on this dresser, it's going to act like an eraser on that dark wax. So you're going to remove the dark wax you've already applied. So unless you want to make a more minimal dark wax effect and take some clear wax to remove it, that would be the only time you would do that.
But to clean it on a regular basis, like normal maintenance, just use maybe a
non-degreasing cleaner.
Just a damp washcloth.
Washcloth. It's great.
And then every once in a while, buff it up.
Yeah.
And if you feel that it's not buffing to a sheen, it's to your desire that is within the limits of what I think you can expect, you may need to re-wax it. Yeah. You shouldn't have to re-wax a piece for years.
Right. No.
Though, that's an important thing.
Right,
so,
absolutely.
Kristen Phillips wants to know, do you sell paint?
Yes, we do.
So we carry the Annie Sloan chalk paints.
I don't have a liter out,
but
over here. I do have the color chart. So we sell the Annie Sloan chalk paint, which comes in a ton of different colors, which you can see here on the color wheel.
The best thing about the chalk paint, there's really no prep work other than cleaning. You can go over pretty much any surface. I mean,
sanding,
glass, metal, mostly furniture. Just clean it first and then go right ahead and paint.
Lisa Hartz wants to know, will the wax protect a wood tabletop on a covered porch? Rain occasionally comes through the screens. That's kind of an interesting question because I painted and waxed some dining chairs that were on my kitchen porch, and they sat there for a couple years in the rain and the snow.
Yeah.
And they were fine. They were fine.
Kind of a gray area. Usually we say no wax for exterior. Something like that, you might have to be a little bit more diligent about wiping them off if you want to keep the finish that you have.
I would think, in general, the other idea for her would have been the clear top coat sealer.
Yeah. The clear top coat sealer from Artisan Enhancements, which is an exterior grade top coat. It's beautiful. We actually have a customer who paints trailers or campers with it, with the chalk paint, and then top coats it with the clear top coat sealer. And it's a beautiful finish, and they are gorgeous for years.
And what is the sheen on the clear top coat sealer?
So it's typically satin, but the more you apply, it becomes glossier.
Okay.
Yeah, the shinier it gets. Okay, so let me just make sure. So if we answered your questions, give us a thumbs up, so then we're good with that.
If we didn't, just clarify.
Yeah, and if we need more information from you. Oh, so just we're kind of jumping around. People notice the mirror behind you, and a couple questions regarding the mirror.
Okay.
So Deb Dugan wants to know, what color is the mirror?
So the frame itself is actually a style that I do a lot, and I really enjoy doing. It's multiple layers, so you can see the darkest color underneath is Han Fleur chalk paint. It is like a milk chocolate brown, And then we went over with a layer of French linen, which is like a taupey gray.
Can I just point something out?
Yeah.
When you did the Han floor, you used Annie's dome top brush.
Yep, and you can see the texture, and that's why it gives that really nice variegated finish when we distressed it.
And you really, it's great to have some different brushstroke directions on that Han floor.
Definitely.
And you probably could get away with doing 2 coats.
Definitely.
And then, okay, so you did the Han floor chalk paint by Annie Sloan. Then you did what?
French linen, and then a layer of, so we would have taken either old white or pure white, not exactly sure, mixed equal parts water, and you apply what's called a wash. So you brush it on, and you wipe back, leaving, however, we did kind of minimal here, you can leave it a little bit more
Did you
heavy.
distress the French linen? Because it looks like you distressed it.
After the wash.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Oh, okay, but you could do it either way.
Either way.
I can tell you, can you point to the heaviness of the wash?
Yes, so
Okay.
we left it a lot in that groove right there, a little bit on the big flat edge, but mostly in those details is where we like to leave the wash.
Because and you can see a little bit in that crevice there. And the base of this mirror was like a gold. And you can see that peeking through. Now, if you don't have a base that's gold and you do like that metallic, you could just use some gilding wax, which we
Definitely.
sell, right?
Sure. Yep.
Okay, so they wanted to know about the exterior of the mirror, and then they're asking about the transfer and talking about the fact that sort of making a commitment because do you seal it? How do you clean this now?
So,
It is what it is. You gotta clean it.
yeah, so this is the Iron Orchid Designs transfer called Gypsy Queen. We did a couple demos about this. I think we actually did a Facebook Live about putting this on this mirror.
I think so.
Welcome. It's just a rub-on transfer, so we just centered it onto the mirror, rubbed it on, peeled it off. If you want to clean it afterwards, we would recommend, number one, do not spray cleaner directly onto the design. If you want to clean it with something like Windex, if you take like a really soft rag, usually a microfiber, something like that, spray a little bit on there. You can wipe around it and very gently over it. You do not want to press very hard on that transfer because it could come off.
So we typically seal the transfers on furniture and whatever, but obviously on the mirror you can't.
Yeah. See, what I would do if it were my mirror at home, I would just take another shop towel. I wouldn't put anything on it, and I would just lightly rub, and even that takes a lot of that dust off.
Sort of rub away from the transfer.
Yeah. If you have an area like that, you can take a little bit of moisture to get it off. I feel that if you're just doing a little bit more upkeep and not letting it get really dirty, then it'll be a lot easier to keep it clean.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great look.
Yeah.
It totally can fit into maybe like a bar or, I don't know, a bathroom. I'd love it over a bed. I think it's so cool. Have a good weekend.
You too.
So, okay, let's just see here. How many coats of wax should I put on my kitchen cabinets? A busy kitchen, large family. I think we want to stress less or more isn't always better.
I would say 2 to 3.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 to 3 coats.
Yeah. And you don't put it on heavy or thick? Nope. Same application as you did on your on the dresser, correct?
A light application is totally fine.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Okay. Let's see here. Is the top coat matte? She didn't specify Lisa Hart's. She didn't ask or
Clear
specify.
top coat sealer, I'm guessing.
I'm not sure. So why don't we talk about the wax and the clear top coat?
So the wax, right when you put it on, we found that it's fairly matte. It's fairly a flat finish. It's when you start removing it, buffing it, that it starts to pick up sort of a sheen to it. The clear top coat sealer is typically matte until you apply more coats. Once you start applying more coats, it's going to pick up a glossier finish.
Okay.
And then for floors,
For floors,
we have a
Big announcement, right?
Yeah.
we have a new product that we received in yesterday.
Okay, so
So,
what is this? What do we
We
got
have
going?
had the one over here is the chalk paint lacquer. This is a top coat for floors. Now the chalk paint lacquer that we've had for a while is a matte finish. We just got in a gloss finish, so you can have a glossy floor.
So one of the things I want to point out is we have a customer. She was here this week. She purchased paint and lacquer for her kitchen floor. Very small floor. She was in yesterday. I don't know, yesterday or the day before. Were you here?
I might have
She
been,
sent
but
me
if it was
pictures?
yesterday, I would not have
Okay,
remembered.
she sent me pictures last night. We will do a Facebook post and a website post this afternoon showcasing her progress because it's coming out fabulous.
Yay.
And the lacquer, I'm gonna just flip this around. Is that okay? Okay, sorry. So I'll do it this way. So here are some things to keep in mind when you're using Annie's lacquer. You guys are both like, I feel like what is it, Morning America, and you see the people waving in the window. But Annie's lacquer is unbelievable. It is meant for high use floor areas. However, what do we always tell people about lacquer?
It is a penetrating top coat, so if you're going over a wood finish, the lacquer is so protective because it's gripping onto those layers underneath, so that can actually end up causing some of the wood tannins to pull through and show through the paint.
Yes.
So.
And what about when we write out instruction sheets or write out?
Lacquer does not behave like paint. So oftentimes with a chalk paint, you can kind of play with it a little bit. It has a bit of a longer dry time, so you can hang around with it. But lacquer, you want to brush on and leave. The more you play with it, the foggier it will become.
Definitely.
Because
So
you start to affect the flattening agent in
You
it.
want to be confident with your strokes, not overbrush it. The first coat, we actually recommend mixing in about 10% water.
Yeah, a little bit, 10% water.
So definitely read your instruction sheet when you buy lacquer.
What about if they're going to be doing a... I want to get camera time, but okay. What about if I'm just joking? What about if they have a very large floor area? What do we tell people with that?
You need to batch your lacquer.
Yes.
That's kind of funny. I don't know why that sounds
It
funny.
sounds funny, but if you buy more than one container of lacquer, you should mix them together to get an even sheen across the floor.
So mix them together. If you want, you can pour them back into the containers.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter.
yeah. As long
But
as-
you want to pour them and mix them really well. And what about mixing lacquer? It can take a while because the flattening agent
You want to
settles.
make sure everything is incorporated. So there's a little bit of sediment at the bottom. Sometimes you want to really mix it in, almost like you're making an icing where you fold it instead of just mix it.
Oftentimes when you buy lacquer, we actually recommend inverting it for just a little bit after you've purchased it so that the flattening agent can actually work its way back down into the rest of the product.
But don't shake it.
Don't shake it.
Nope, just like any clear top coat.
Just
So
flip it.
this is real. Hey Luke, are you back there? Okay. Sorry. If that's you calling, we'll get to your phone call. Okay, I'm gonna switch this around if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, see, that's the state route out in front. We often keep those doors open. Now you understand why that dresser gets a little dirty. So let's talk about, so the lacquer is great also for floor cloths.
Yeah. So I don't know when this Facebook Live.
Probably next month. You can talk about it.
We're going to have a lovely friend, Stacy, on for Facebook Live because she creates vinyl floor cloths using Annie Sloan chalk paint and the lacquer. So she's going to come on and talk a little bit about that and possibly do a demo.
I think we're going to actually do it at her house.
Oh, cool.
Because her dining room has this beautiful mat.
Nice.
And then she'll have some floor mats that are done in different degrees, I guess.
And she just uses like scraps of vinyl, pretty inexpensive, and turns them into these beautiful floor cloths.
Yeah. Jennifer Bogger wants to know, can you store lacquer in a mason jar like you can paint?
I wouldn't.
I don't know if the seal on top is going to be quite as well.
If you're confident with the seal and that it's going to be airtight, I wouldn't be able to guarantee it though. So I wouldn't personally.
Why would she do that? I wonder.
I don't know.
I mean, some people prefer it. Sometimes the lids can be a little temperamental.
I guess if you only had a little bit left and you wanted to store it in something smaller, I could see where that
maybe.
I just kind of feel like
I would keep it in the container.
Yeah, and just like paint, we should always clean those rims
the
off,
outer
right,
rim,
before you put the top on.
Absolutely.
Shy wants to know, does it yellow? You want me to talk about that?
Sure.
So Annie's, I'm gonna flip this again. Oh, I'm getting more airtime, and I actually like my hair. Isn't that funny? Because every video I'm like, oh, I look like a witch, but I don't think I look like a witch. So, anyways, some people might call me that anyway, but that's okay. Lacquer. I'm just having fun.
It's a good
Lacquer. Can it yellow? So, if you're going to be painting a wood floor and you're putting the lacquer on it, Hannah was touching base, talking about the fact that it's a penetrating lacquer. And if you have an older floor that isn't sealed well, my hair looked good other than that. Anyway, if you have an older floor that isn't sealed well, and let's say you painted it with white, and then you put the lacquer on, and it starts to, as it dries and cures and bears down, it also can pull up some of the tannin, and that's what might make it look yellow. That means your floor should have been cleaned and probably sealed either with lacquer which is
Sealer sandwich.
a sealer sandwich. It's also a little pricey doing that. So, or you could seal the floor using shellac.
Clear top coat sealer.
Clear top coat sealer. Another product that, in the sense, it's going to seal the wood, but it's not going to be getting the foot traffic.
I think it's important to know that it's not the top coat that's yellowing. It's something from underneath that's causing that.
Yes.
So if you're going over concrete, I wouldn't see it being an issue probably.
No.
It's most likely the wood that's coming through.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's important so people understand, because they might assume it's the product, right? So I'm going to flip this around and get back to you guys. Okay. Oop, I don't want to go too fast, so let me go a little slower so people don't get too sick. Okay. Yeah, and Jennifer just mentioned I had issues with the rims or paint cans, so I started putting in mason jars. And yeah, we can get that. We understand that.
Absolutely.
Do you ever put lacquer on furniture pieces?
You can.
You would probably I would say definitely do a sealer sandwich if you're going to be going over a wooden furniture piece. I don't know that it's specifically meant for furniture.
Might be overkill?
Yeah, I typically really like the wax, and I like the fact that on a piece of furniture that's going to be touched, I can always go back later and apply a little bit more wax to clean it.
Just again, be careful that you don't overwork the lacquer.
Yeah.
Especially around grooves in areas where you might get dripping and puddling. You want to make sure that doesn't happen. So that's typically why we recommend the wax. It's usually just a little bit easier to work with. You can put lacquer on furniture, just be conscientious of how much you're brushing it.
You're just not going to be walking on your furniture, so I don't know that's necessary. And lacquer's a little bit pricier, so.
It is, and also wax, you put it on, wipe it off, and it's done.
Yeah.
Like you could literally be doing something Easter morning, and you could have people coming over Easter Day.
And Annie created the paint so she could paint her kids' furniture when they left for school and have it be done by the time they got back and ready to use. So.
Okay. So a lot of people watch these videos later. We've had up to about 60 people on with us today. Like I said, if you're on and you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. It's always helpful. We have a couple new things on the table, or things that are back in stock. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we had a couple things come in with the delivery yesterday.
I want to see if it says the issue. Oh, there it is.
Oh, yeah, there you go. This being number 1. Some of you guys have been very excited for the Colorist issue number 2, and it is back in stock. So if you had orders for the very first time. Back in stock.
In an area near you.
In an area near you. So if you had orders online, they're going out today with your colorist. We'll give you a sneak. I'll do a couple page flips so you can see a little bit. All right,
the last issue had a free stencil. Does this one?
Let's look.
It does.
Okay.
It has a free stencil.
So, and actually, this is the stencil that Annie has on her piece of furniture that's featured all throughout the Country Living magazine.
Yes.
So if you're at a newsstand, we want to have them. Check out the Country Living magazine.
And I do want to note, we do still have issue 1. So
and we always will.
Yeah, and we always will. So if you missed out on issue 1 when it first came out, you can still get it along with issue number 2.
Yeah, so basically, these are book-a-zines, and they're meant to be a collection. And I think on the spine of the book, somebody was talking about, do you see this? It's a drip of paint. Now, this is coming through like almost banana yellow. Let me kind of hold my phone a little bit.
Tilton,
yeah, so that's so the other one. Geez, Court, can you run and get issue 1? I'm curious to know what that looked like. Watch, we'll see Courtney go running over. She already went. So this is our shop in Macedon. It's small but mighty, quite full. Okay, so what is this one?
This one looks to me like Scandinavian.
Is it a drip of paint? Look at that. So,
Scandinavian.
and then when you hold these next to each other, 1 and 2, and then eventually
3.
that
3.
so funny. Yes, Hannah, number 3.
Hey.
Shut the door. Okay, so anyways, okay, so the Colorist issue 1, issue 2 are on our website. It's in our Macedon shop. It'll be in our Village Gate store starting. Are you working tomorrow, Luke?
Yes.
Well, Luke's here, but he's not answering. But yeah, so
Laura's there today.
okay, so but the Colorist issue 2
tomorrow.
will be
there
Courtney can bring
Be
him.
there tomorrow.
Courtney will be in Rochester tomorrow, and she'll bring the issue 2, and then we'll get them out to our Baldwinsville store next week. Okay, so that's awesome. There you go. And now, what's
something that we have back in stock now is this fabulous keepsake box. So I'll turn it around to the back and show you what all comes in it. So an inspirational guide, A couple sample pots. You've got Rodmel, Furl, and Tilton, which are the 3 Charleston colors. And then graphite and original, just some neutrals to add in. And then the clear wax that you'll be sealing it with, a waxing cloth, and a couple detail brushes as well. So the concept is that you'll paint the keepsake box and create whatever design you want, and then have it as like a memory box or something you store things
Cool. Court, what do you have going on?
So I brought over, just in case, because we're talking about keepsake boxes.
Yeah.
I feel like these are really cool too. The keepsake box has all 3 of the Charlestons in there.
And it's a wooden box.
And it's a wooden box. And then we also have these. They're smaller kits. There's Tilton and Rodmel. Furl.
We have it.
We have Furl now. Yay! We have Furl. It's not on the floor, but I don't have it.
That's okay. We'll grab it.
So it comes with different colors, and you can use them to paint something like a chair. So it has like little chair inspiration on the side. So.
Okay, and these are in our stores and online, right?
Yes.
And these are wonderful Mother's Day presents.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So Mother's Day is next month.
And we love to see your creativity and see what you create with these guys. So if you purchase one and do something fun designs, we'd love to see it.
And again, those are the Charleston colors.
Yeah.
So again, we have
Furl, we have Tilton, and then we have Rodmel.
and
Which I did a Rodmel desk with a Paris gray wash.
and it just sold.
Yes.
And it just sold.
Yeah.
Already.
So that's fantastic. Okay. Boy, we were really chatty today.
We had a nice chat day.
No, I'm serious. We were really chatty, and hopefully that's good. If anyone has questions, you can always. How can they contact us?
Call us,
Text us, email us, shoot us a
Call
message
me,
through
beep me.
Facebook.
If you want to reach me.
Do any of that. If you are in the area.
This is a big deal.
Or if you're not.
We have a huge
Or if you're
announcement.
not.
Yeah,
If you've
because
ever
this may
wanted
be
to
a
come
reason.
over.
So go
So
right ahead.
yes, our festival, which happens every September, this year we're gonna have about 350 artisans, and
Most importantly,
special
Annie
guest.
Sloan is coming.
Yay!
She's
So
gonna be
even
here.
if
Sorry.
you're farther away, you're
Yeah.
not around, it would be
Come-
worth the travel. You
come
can
in.
come to our festival. You can see Niagara Falls. You can come to our festival.
I can go to
And on-
Annie's home.
and on our website, I think it's on the back of that now. Let me see if you flip that over. Right there. So if you need details, you need lodging, go to our website because Annie's going to be here. We'll be announcing more details regarding her agenda and her schedule sometime by July. That's what we're thinking.
Absolutely.
So, and then very final, in case people want to make sure that they're in the know and how do they stay up on news and things like that, Court.
So, if you like watching us on Facebook Lives, you want to know what's going on in the shop sometimes, we actually have a text alert system that you can subscribe to. The number for that is 74121. If you compose a text message, you put that number in where a phone number would go. I know it's not as long as a normal phone number would be, but it'll work, I promise. Then you just text the word chalk paint, all one word, no caps. If you have a smartphone, it's going to try to put a space between chalk and paint. Make sure it's one word. You'll go into our text alert system. We'll let you know 10 minutes before we go live. Sometimes we also shoot out text messages to let you guys know when things are back in stock. Maybe
we
the
should-
keepsake boxes have been out and we just got them back in. We want to let you guys know. And if you get annoyed and you don't want to be reminded of our Facebook Lives anymore, you can always text the word stop to opt out.
Absolutely. Couple quick things.
Yeah.
Kimberly Castello. She's coming to New York in the fall.
Yay.
She wants to know what of our stores are closest to the city. Now, when she says the city, I'm assuming New York City.
Oh.
Yeah. You guys are funny.
We're both like, right.
Yeah. So, just so if you were aware, maybe if you were to hold the book up, and New York City is in the bottom right corner, Rochester is in the upper left, and it's probably a good 6 hours. 6.5, 7 hours. So, not sure who
It's
to
a
go
whole
to
different
for
world.
you. Yeah, so we're a little bit more rural here. And then one other question on transfers. Do you apply wax over them when you're done when it comes to furniture?
Yes. So if you paint something with chalk paint by Annie Sloan, put a transfer on there. After you apply the transfers, when you would wax, so that you can protect both the paint and the transfer at the same time.
I know some people have been using Artisan enhancements also, and that's always an option.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that's a liquid.
Yeah.
You gotta be gentle.
Wax is a little bit.
I think some people get worried about waxing over a transfer because they're worried when they remove the wax they're going to peel back the transfer, but that definitely won't happen. We do it all the time, so the chalk paint's very porous. It's going to really allow the transfer to adhere and you won't have any issues.
If anything, I would get a little nervous of putting liquid and letting it sit a little bit.
Yeah, you just want to be a little
gentle.
Gentle. I think we had a customer that said foam brush is the best to use for that.
There you go.
Okay, that's good to know. Hey, Mickey from Buffalo, thanks for tuning in.
Hey, Mickey.
So, for anyone who catches this after the fact, we do these on a regular basis. And we're grateful that everyone tuned in. So, anything else you guys want to say? Anything else? Anything going on? It doesn't matter.
In my life or
Anything, I don't care.
I sit at home and do nothing. So.
My kind of employee. Okay, so thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thank you. See you next week. Maybe.